In today's video, I will go over everyday foods that can impact your DVT symptoms because for the past 5 years, I'm still dealing with DVT, and I want to go over the things that I was missing in the past. So I was like ignoring these things when it comes to foods, and I was surprised at the beginning that when I'm taking these blood thinners that I should avoid specific foods. First category are foods rich in vitamin K. And the reason for this is if you are taking warfarin, for example, or coumarin, I can tell you from personal experience for the first 3 months when I was on blood thinners, or specifically on warfarin, I was going every week to double check my INR levels. And that was causing an issue because I was eating a lot of spinach. I usually want to focus to have a healthy lifestyle. And my INR levels were all over the place. But after 3 months, when I switched from warfarin to Xarelto, my INR levels were not even that important because Xarelto works a little bit different, and also Pradaxa is also working different than warfarin. If you are on Xarelto or Pradaxa and other blood thinners, then you should not overly focus on vitamin K consumption. But if you have warfarin as a blood thinning medication, then definitely you should talk to your doctor and double check everything that what is going on. And vitamin K is rich, for example, in spinach or Brussels sprouts and even broccoli. Some spices like oregano or parsley have a rich amount or high amount of vitamin K. So that is something that you should pay attention to if you are taking warfarin. Next thing is related to saturated and trans fat. If you ask me personally, then trans fats are something that we should avoid like all the time. Avoid it. And trans fats are things basically in the fried things. So fried food and donuts and so on, that should be avoided. And the core reason is because this is hydrogenated. When you consume them, it is not good for your body because it is increasing inflammation in your body. And you will see with the third thing now, when I go over what is the food, you will see the combination of inflammation in the fats and also in the third category that I will now explain is something that is combining inflammation. It is not good for your veins, so we should avoid trans fats. Saturated fats, on the other hand, there is mixed conclusions. When I want to do a little bit of research, first, I first talk with my doctor, but when I want to go a little bit deeper into research, I use a tool called Consensus or use Perplexity. Both are AI tools which are summarizing all the data, and it is giving me a clear output. And then based on that, I can know exactly what is going on in the studies and if they are legit. So for the saturated fats is still, they are mixed. For example, coconut oil, if it's good or bad for us. For example, also, if you are eating fatty meats, if this is good or bad for us. But there are more now studies confirming that, for example, fatty meats are good for us, if, of course, in a moderate amount, because it is helping with regulation of hormones. So that is a mixed part. But when it comes to trans fats, definitely we should avoid them like 100% of the time. Third thing are sugars. Everything that we are eating, it is stuffed with sugar. For example, when you read the label on what you are eating, you will see that O's like fructose, glucose, dextrose are like those added sugars on whatever you are consuming. Only like natural foods, quote unquote natural foods, you don't have those things. Of course, when you are eating fruits, for example, you are getting fructose, and that's good, but because there is additional layer of fibers. But when you are, for example, eating cereals and then you have additional fructose and dextrose, there is no additional fibers over there, so that can decrease the amount of insulin spike. So that is not such a good thing for us. But why this is so relevant to DVT? When you increase inflammation in your body, that is also causing additional strain on your walls of your arteries. And this is not good for your overall health, especially when you are dealing with DVT. So please pay attention to avoiding sugars. You probably already know that. I don't want to beat down that horse. It is obvious. But the second thing when it comes to sugars that is related to inflammation as well, it is about weight gain. People think that they need to reduce like amount of fats, for example, but the biggest problem is usually with sugars. because when you're eating sugars, you are basically opening the floodgates to eat even more sugars, because your gut microbiome is then accustomed to eat the sugary foods, and it is craving for more sugary foods. So you are in that constant loop of consuming sugars. So if you manage to avoid sugary foods for about 3 to 4 days, your gut microbiome will adjust, and you will notice that you will not crave for sugary foods after 4 days. But if you eat even just a piece of chocolate, for example, you will start to ruminate and think about eating additional sugary foods for 1 to 2, maximum 3 days. So please be aware of that. It is destroying our habit of healthy eating, and also it is giving you a shortcut to have extra calories that are basically empty calories, that are not having anything that will help us overall when it comes to having a healthy lifestyle. Final thing is alcohol. People usually think if they drink alcohol for one glass of wine, it's good for us. There are healthy benefits around it. But when it comes to alcohol, there is nothing beneficial, especially when it comes to DVT. Now, because when you're dehydrating your body, because alcohol will dehydrate your body, you have a higher chance of forming additional blood clots, and also your blood platelets are sticking together easier when you are drinking alcohol. So if I can categorize like do's and don'ts of drinking alcohol, is just don't drink alcohol. There is nothing beneficial. If you are thinking about, okay, but what about social interactions? So what you can do about that, you will adjust. Let's be real. If you are drinking like one glass of wine, if you are accustomed to drinking more alcohol, you should then just check why the heck you have even DVT in the first place. Is this is causing an entire issue? So I just want to be real, and that's why I'm saying this. Just avoid alcohol. There is nothing beneficial from drinking alcohol. Now that you know these everyday foods that can impact your DVT symptoms in a negative way, maybe you're thinking of what kind of exercise you should do if you are on blood thinners, because there are some common myths and some common problems when it comes to exercise and DVT. So in this video, I will explain this in more details, because there are some things, for example, like doing cardio while you're on blood thinners, if you can do this or not. So there are all of this I am explaining in this video. So please check it out, and talk to you soon. Ciao.